Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is SP Jimmy, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Sentinel archetype in City of Heroes. This is a pretty new archetype, as I'm sure you're aware. It's a cross between like a blaster and a scrapper. It's essentially the new blapper of the City of Heroes community, and we're going to be looking at both the primary and secondary power sets. I have some builds lined up for us on Pines, and what I was originally going to do is swap between the Sentinel and the Blaster and the Scrapper and show you the differences between the sets. But here's the thing, I've recorded this video at least 3 times now. And when I do that, my computer can't handle it. It keeps glitching out and you don't get to see everything. So I'm going to take it a little bit slow here and just trust that I have seen the differences between these. And I'm going to try and convey that as best as I can. So, but if you notice in the comments, please leave me a notice if there's something that I missed or if there's another difference in the Sentinels that would make maybe a power set better than we determine here. Now, Sentinels are actually in a good place both in PvP and in PvE. So there's a lot of options that we have to choose from, and you can mix and match based off of maybe the decisions that we make today. And that's going to produce a character that works no matter what. So before we even get into these, I need to tell you guys about the inherent ability of the Sentinel. It's a little hard to explain, so I'm actually going to leave that to the person over on Reddit over here, who says it's a imaginary papaya, and she explains, or they explain it much better than I possibly could. So I'm just going to kind of paraphrase what they have here. And thank you to them for making this available. So depending on if you use your tier 1 or tier 2 blast in your effect, it's going to have a different ability appear. Okay. Effect number 1 is a resistance debuff placed on a target. Effect number 2 depends on which power you use to trigger effect number 1. All level 1 Sentinels have to make a choice as to what their very first power will be. So, for example, Assault Rifle. At level 1, you can pick Burst tier 1 or Disorienting Shot tier 2. You can pick the other power later, and this lets you pick which personal effect you want during opportunity. Either of these attacks will always place the same resistance debuff on a single target every time, only during opportunity. When you build up the opportunity bar, very much like how Dominators build Domination, your tier 1 will get a red circle and the tier 2 will get a green circle when the bar maxes out. You will also glow just like a Dominator does when the Domination bar is full. It is the exact same visual cue. Red equals offensive opportunity and your green is your defensive opportunity. If you want to use offensive opportunity, but when your bar is maxed out, then you have to successfully land a hit with the tier 1, an example, Burst. If you miss the attack, the ring stays. If you land the attack, the target does a resistance debuff for 15 seconds. The debuff can be taken advantage of by the entire team. Additionally, part 2 of this effect is the Sentinel gets a personal perk of additional damage dealt per attack for the duration of the opportunity. Again, 15 seconds. This perk is not linked to the debuff target. You may freely pew-pew any targets during this time frame and enjoy a slight bonus to damage for each hit. If the debuff target dies early, the damage effect stays regardless until the duration ends. The defensive opportunity has much of the same requirements as flexibility of offensive opportunity. Defensive opportunity is triggered by the tier 2 power, in this case, Disorienting Shot. The other difference is that the effect per shot is not a bonus to damage. Instead, for the next 15 seconds, you will return health and endurance to yourself for every successfully landed hit. The health return isn't much, but endurance is about 7-ish per hit. Otherwise, everything else is the same. That includes the debuff to the target. Whichever attack of these two choices successfully lands will start the opportunity effect, the enemy debuff, personal debuff based on specific attack used. You cannot have both offensive and defensive active at the same time on the same character. However, the resistance debuff from multiple Sentinels does continue to debuff the same target. So you could stack several Sentinels on a specific target like an AV and drive down their resistance. I do not know if these can exceed the debuff cap of 5 stacks of the same type. It probably doesn't, but I haven't tried. When the effect ends, the bar resets to 0, much like a Dominator, and you start all over again. Difference over the Dominator, though, is you cannot make opportunity permanent like you can on a Dominator. Thank you very much. Magic Papaya, everybody. Back to City of Heroes. So, that basically means some builds are going to take the tier 1 ability, some builds are going to take the tier 2 ability, or they're going to take both. So we'll get to see those all in Pines. But whichever one you pick, I've heard that the tier 1 is better because you want the minus res debuff more often than you would want the self heal to yourself, because you have other things for that available in your secondary power sets. On to the powers. Archery, I feel like it's better on a blaster with the snipe ability. You get perfect shot here, and you get explosive arrows, fistful of arrows. You're going to be able to do some okay AoE as a Sentinel, but I think that the snipe on blaster is just kind of what makes this build shine. The interesting thing as well is that Sentinels, their tier 9 ability for their primary power has, I believe, a 90-second cooldown for each power set alone, except for Beam Rifle Overcharge. That ability, I believe, has a 120 or 125 second cooldown, unless they changed it recently, but that's what I last heard. So it also looks cool. I love the way the arrows look. Why not? I'm not going to say like do a build, don't do a build. You can mix and match here and be pretty okay no matter what your Sentinel is, but there are some more popular builds that I will point out. Assault Rifle, which we had from our example before, is interesting because you get disorienting shot at level 2, whereas on an Assault Rifle you would get beanbag somewhere later in the build. You get an M30 grenade, but the big cool thing is, remember the Ignite power from the Assault Rifle build that basically makes a little burn patch at the area? Sentinels don't have that, and it makes it a buff because they get Incinerator, which is going to make the burn effect on the target, not on the floor. And I think that that alone makes Sentinels better for Assault Rifle right off the bat. You also get an aim in place of the snipe, and in most cases you get an aim in place of the snipe, where the snipe would be on a blaster, or you get like a big power, like perfect shot here on archery. Now, Beam Rifle is probably the most common primary for a Sentinel that I've ever seen anybody use. I see it everywhere, and I'm tempted to make one as well. The big difference is you get Refractor Beam here, and on a blaster, Beam Rifle doesn't have as much AoE. All they really have is Overcharge to use and Cutting Beam, because Piercing Beam is a really, really narrow cone. But in place of the snipe, you get Refractor Beam, which is like a chain lightning effect that goes to a bunch of enemies. It says it hits up to 10 foes. My understanding is that, maybe not here, but in most cases, Sentinels have a smaller hit cap of enemies around them than a blaster would. So for something like maybe Fire Blast, it doesn't say the total, but I would imagine that that would be slightly lower than a blaster if the information I read is correct. So Beam Rifle is a fantastic choice. Dark Blast is also a fantastic choice. It's always a good choice for Dark because you're actually here able to give -2 hit and minus accuracy. This one here, actually, which one? Dark Obliteration gives minus accuracy, and Tumbril Beam gives -2 hit. So you're doing both. Very strong, good for 1v1 situations. I'm not sure if you would want Umbral Torrent if you're doing it. This looks like, well, I guess you would, because you're doing more AoE on a Sentinel as well. Definitely a good power set. And oh, look at those! You get a moderate tier 1 and a high tier 2. Beautiful. Dual Pistols is probably one of the better choices on a Sentinel, and I don't see a lot of people pick it. I think more people should do this, because if you want to be a tanky Sentinel, there's probably no better primary that you could have besides Dual Pistols. With the swap ammo ability, you get the toxic ammo, which can stack really high, like 35, I don't know, maybe like 50% even in some case, of minus damage that your foe is doing. So it makes you and your team more survivable. You get bullet rain, hail of bullets all around you is going to recharge quick. Dual Pistols also looks great in the costume creator, and you guys can see my costume videos that I made. A lot of them were for Dual Pistols. Yeah, it's really good. Electrical Blast, I would say, for a Sentinel, probably not. And the only reason is because why do you need minus endurance? You do get a pet, which is cool. You get the Voltaic Sentinel, and not everyone else gets a pet, but why are you going for minus endurance? How does that help your survivability? How does that help your damage output? I don't see it being worth it. Energy Blast is, and I have a good friend who, I believe most of his Sentinels are Energy Blast. Hey Prime, and it looks so strong, and I've teamed with him, and I really want to use Energy Blast because it has such a heroic uh, theme to it. And now you can slot for knockdown instead of the knockback, so it doesn't really disrupt teams that much. You get this focused power bolt, which is a superior damage, and you get power push. Oh, I really want to try this as well. Like you get power burst and focused power bolt plus Nova, and you get those cool custom animations that I don't want to show because it'll freak out my computer. Fire Blast is probably one of the highest single target damage that you can have. Well, I guess AoE as well because Fire, Radiant Fire, Inferno. It's got the burn over time effect. Always going to be top tier in damage. I don't know. I would probably never play Fire again. I played it a lot when I was younger, and it's kind of dead to me now, unfortunately. But hey, if you're going Fire, people are gonna be like, whoa, watch this guy, follow this guy. He's gonna be pulling taunt left and right. And you get Blazing Blast. I don't really like Fire Breath as much. Ice Blast is always a good choice, even on Sentinels, especially if you want to go into PvP. But the difference here between an Ice Blaster and an Ice Sentinel is right here. On an Ice Sentinel, the Chilling Ray is a sleep, and they will break from it. On a Blaster, the Freeze Ray is a hold, even though it looks like a sleep, and they won't break from it. So that's your little bit of nerf right there. In some cases, between a Blaster and Sentinel, the hold is weaker, or it does more damage, but it doesn't hold for as long. And that is actually going back to Electrical Blast. The Tesla Cage does extreme damage versus a Blaster, which does minor damage. Interesting little trade-offs there, right? Let me know down in the comments if you guys know another interesting trade-off that you can get with the power sets here, if I haven't already mentioned it. Psychic Blast, this is the thing. You're missing out on Snipe, so you don't get that huge single target, bam, attack. I guess you get Psionic Strike, but that's nothing compared to what a Snipe attack would be to something attack that someone probably doesn't have maxed out resistance to at that moment. And that's the whole point of going Psychic, is to blast them with as much power as possible. So this is one where I would say go for Blaster, probably. Now, Radiation has some cool attack effects and stuff. You can shoot X-ray beam from your hands, and I would love to play Radiation because it's something I haven't tried before, other than on Defender back in the day, but I just can't get around it. You get Electron Haze on both. Look how early you get Irradiate on a Sentinel right off the bat. Makes it really fun to get in the middle there. Neutron Bomb. It looks like a lot of fun. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. If I was to roll a Sentinel, I have some other things. Looking at you, Beam Rifle. Other things in mind for it. Sonic Attack is exactly the same between a Blaster and a Sentinel. And I challenge anybody to prove me wrong, because I've read through all of them. I cannot for the life of me find out what the difference is, except that they changed the order of like 2 abilities here. There was no Snipe in the Blaster Sonic Attack. Look, I'm going to swap over. This is probably going to break everything. I'm going to swap over and show you. There's no difference. Is there? Am I missing something? There's no difference between the two. So Sonic, sorry to say, I'm not going to pick you unless it's like a weird defender or something. And then Water Blast as well is exactly the same. I think the difference is Dehydrate and Whirlpool are switched. And I read through it and I cannot find a difference between the power sets. So let me know if there is one. But it seems to be the same between both. And Aqua Bolt is a light attack that you're going to use to do minus res, and that's not very good. Now, you could mix and match any of those primaries with a secondary here. Bio Armor is probably the best. It's probably the most common. It's getting you that extra damage from adaptation. If you want to be the cookie cutter, go for Bio Armor. Dark Armor, I don't think that you need Fear and Stun. It never worked right for me when I tried Dark Armor, plus the res needs bodies around for you to res. I'm not a big fan of it, but you do get a heal here. Numerous regeneration. Electrical Armor, I thought if you wanted to pair electric with electric, this is probably the only way that you would do it, because you get power sync here, and that's what's going to make it worth it for you to try and drain their endurance. You get the lightning reflexes increased to your movement speed, which is always appreciated. You get a little heal here and energize, and you get some nice toggles. I think electric would be a good secondary as well. Energy aura is pretty popular. You get that overload up, power drain up. I guess you could do that from with electric as well. That might be nice. But I see a lot of energy aura paired with the Sentinel's beam rifle as well. Fiery aura I thought would be cool, but it's not. Even though you get burn and cauterizing blaze, which is nice, and healing flames, you get some more heals, you're not going to get the AoE blazing aura. It doesn't exist for you. So I was like, oh, you would go fire if you want to farm AE. Nope, can't do it unless you just want to spam burn over and over and over again. But anyways, with everyone getting to similar levels of resist and defense, I bet fire is like secretly the best anyways. Rise of the Phoenix does damage when you res. That's cool. Ice, I want to like ice. I still feel like ice is better on something with spines or super strength. I'm not seeing it for Sentinel. Maybe there's a reason to go ice. Let me know if you have a reason to go ice, but it seems like all the perks of ice would be of slowing people down around you, getting them, you know, the aggro on you, but I don't see that with a Sentinel. Invulnerability, I would assume, is strong anywhere, but the invincible, I don't believe that it hurts the foes around you to make them attack you. So I guess it doesn't really change much. You get durability, which is nice, a good switch out. Your body is naturally durable. As a result, you have higher hit point and endurance. You're also naturally resistant to toxic damage. It's always on and costs no endurance. That might make it worth it to go invulnerability. Be a little bit more tankier. I think dual pistols and vulnerability would be cool. Ninjutsu, the only problem I have with this is it's more of a click than a toggle situation, even though you do get some endurance discount. The blinding powder might be nice in PvE. I haven't really tried blinding powder in PvP. I'm not sure if that's good either, but the Kuji and Retsu is pretty strong, so I think that that would be a good secondary as well. Radiation armor would be a lot of fun. Any archetype where you could do radiation armor is going to be good, but especially on a Sentinel, and this is probably like the third most common, maybe tied with regen, that I see people going is radiation armor with the Sentinel. Proton armor, you get some extra heals in there. Particle shielding, fallout. Oh man, I want to try that as well. There's too many builds, not enough time. Regen, I think, is, and I hate to say this, it's kind of boring. Yeah, it is the basis of you're getting hit points back that you weren't getting hit points before, but like this has been around since the beginning, and I played so many characters with regen. It just feels cheap to me, but I've seen a lot of people in PvP still going with regen, so I'm sure it's fine. Get moment of glory yet. You got so many heals, endurance, recovery. Look at instant regeneration. When you activate this power, you can regenerate your wounds so fast you can practically absorb some of the inflicted damage. Absorption over time while it's active. Ugh, it's like they can't even hurt you while you're healing. Super reflexes, I thought would actually be pretty cool. Look how much they changed on it. For a Sentinel, you can get enduring to get what is it? Your endurance lasts longer. You have avoid psionic attacks and defense debuffs. What? Things like that. I think everything except toxic. And then Master Brawler. You've learned the best to block an attack and absorb damage the most effectively. Using this power when you have the highest amount of endurance but the lowest amount of health, it will result in the most powerful effect possible. Owning this power will also improve your focus fighting, and focus, that's his ability. This power cannot be taken if you have practice Brawler. Oh man, or you can take practice Brawler. I would do Master Brawler. Oh, so cool. Willpower, again, is similar to regen. I think that it's just like the kind of the cheap way out. There's still good options, and it's going to make you powerful no matter what. But look at all these other things. Wouldn't you want to do something a little bit more exotic with your secondary? Anyways, let's start looking at some of the Pines builds. So the ones that I have for us here, this is a fire bio. I'm going to link all of these in the comments below the video. And we're going to go through these just kind of briefly, looking at the key points, noticing that there's the two procs for the ATO for Sentinel are chance for plus absorb with recharge time, and then recharge time and chance for opportunity. So it just procs your opportunity. And what I'm seeing here in most builds is that they'll put the chance for absorb on their one ability. So you're getting absorb when you do the minus res. You're kind of getting both effects. And then the chance for opportunity on their tier 3 or their AoE ability. Not everybody does that, but most people are doing that. So I think that's what you're supposed to do when you proc. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, looking at the totals here, and we can turn off Rune of Protection. He's already maxed with Rune of Protection. He's already maxed without Rune of Protection. And this is the Fire Bee Bio Ninja BHLS scent. Wow. That's pretty strong. That's like really good damage. That's good everything. All right. Moving on to the next, we have a beam rifle bio. His totals are capped anyways. Let's see if I turn on a couple more things. Tactics. I think that's everything. Oh, he has Spirit Ward on. If I turn off Spirit Ward, he's almost to cap. If I turn on Spirit Ward, he's definitely to cap. And then I believe, I don't know what his defense cap is. At 35, 45% maybe, somewhere between there. But he's definitely got good defense in there as well. And it looks like he also went for the tier 1 overcharge. He didn't even go for Refractor Beam or an Ancillary Epic Pool. Interesting. Didn't go for super speed either, so I might swap a few things out there if I were to try to use him for PvP. Beam Rifle, Energy Aura went for everything but Piercing Beam, including the tier 1 and tier 2 abilities. And Tough and Weave, so a little more of a PvE again. He didn't go for any of the ancillary powers either. He put on Refractor Beam his chance for Absorb, and he put on Lancer Shot his chance for Opportunity. Looks like he put Apocalypse and all the other big expensive sets on the rest of his build here. What were his totals again? Rune of Protection. With Rune of Protection, he's not even to his cap, so something's wrong with this guy's build. Really strong defense though. Look at that Energy Aura, really strong defense. Water Radiation, in case you wanted to do like a polluted lake themed character. Looks like Tough and Weave, Rune of Protection, still more PvE as well. He took the secondary to heal himself more than the minus resistance, and it looks like without Rune of Protection, he's still way at cap with Radiation Armor. Defense a little bit lower, but that resistance is way off the charts. Hey, this might be a good time for him. I don't want to change it. This might be a good time for him to go into the Force of Willpower set so that he can get plus defense in there as well. And then the last build that we have is a dual pistols regeneration. You're going to be able to heal through anything, take away their damage. He went for both the tier 1 and tier 2 primary abilities, Halo Bullets, everything except for Suppressive Fire and Executioner's Shot. He went for Teleport Foe to mess with people well into the Ninja Tool Mastery, which looks really cool. You would get like a Katana Paralyzing Dart, which does minor damage over time, and a Toxic Hold. And it looks like he actually kind of Franken-slotted. Where is his ATO? I don't even see his ATO on here. Looks like he's missing it. Interesting. Well, thank you guys for joining me. And if you enjoyed the video, be on the lookout for some other videos because we cover a lot of the classes. And let me know if you enjoyed what you saw or if you noticed anything wrong with this. I would love to hear your feedback. And I will see you guys in a little bit.